Hey guys, we are here today in Valheim and we are going to be talking about how to make a fortified mountain bunker that can withstand some of the harder hitting creatures out here. And you will see on my map here that my motor spawn point is quite a far way away from my other stuff. So I'm not interested in sailing iron out here in order to make a stonecutter. So this build will actually be showing you how to make fortified reinforced walls out of plain wood. For anyone who's in the same boat as me and has a mountain base just too far away to lug over iron and stone for a stonecutter, or if you're just looking to make a small outpost in the mountains, just enough to fit workbench, a portal, campfire, and a bed. Although this place is fairly roomy and could probably fit a smelter and kiln if you decide to go ahead and make this same design out of stone. Now we're going to be building this building octagonal, and I've placed myself near a cliff ledge and some large boulders to help out with surrounding defense. So the first thing I'm going to do is start next to one of the boulders and place 3 horizontal beams. And then to create the octagonal pattern, we're going to rotate twice towards the inside and continue 3 more beams. And we're going to do this all the way around until we have our border. Once we have the whole border mapped out, we're going to go ahead and run the floor joists. You can map it out entirely with the wood beams to give yourself a different look on the floor pattern, but I'm just going to place the floor pieces straight up. We're going to go on the middle rung of each wall 3 pieces deep. Once we have those straight sections done, we're going to finish off these triangle wedges by selecting one side of it and going straight down 2 pieces. And then we'll have these 2 smaller wedges to fill in. We'll just rotate a piece in to fill that gap. And then as you go over the other gap, you'll see that you can fill it in many different ways. Just make sure that you get that floor piece covering the whole thing and you'll be good to go. And repeat this pattern across the whole floor. Alright, and now we are going to place our gate and wall the entire perimeter with 1.5 walls. And I recommend placing your gate or door on the back edge near a cliffside or some rock formations to limit how much monsters can attack your door itself, since it will be the weakest part of your walls. Alright, and once the walls are done, we are going to move up to the roof. I recommend starting over the door so that you have maximum coverage for shelter as soon as you enter the building. And that will come into play since we are building in octagonal formations and we are not actually going to be fully roofing every section of this. So take 26-degree beams coming off of that edge, 2 high on each seam to start. Skip 1 wall panel and then do the same thing on the next panel. When that's all said and done, you should have it coming off of 4 sides of the octagon, all meeting up on the edges like that. Continue up the wood beams 26 degrees on the center section of each of the 4 sides. And you will see them meet up like so. Once those are in place, go ahead and run 26-degree roofing all the way up to the edge of each of your wood beams. And you'll see here that I'm matching up these roof pieces only with the 2 wood beams as opposed to the 3 high. Only do the 3 high in the center for this moment. Now you may have noticed that those sections we left open are almost perfect fits for corner pieces. You will notice as you try to place them that it is not an exact fit and they try to snap to one side or the other. If that slight gap does bother you, you can take a flat wooden beam and fill in that section on both sides and cover in most of those sections that look like they're gapping. The normal roofs themselves kind of have seams in them anyway, where you can see light through, so it'll just flow in with that. Once you're done with that overall roofing section, we are left with these 4 triangle sections. And we're going to discuss 4 options to cover those. My favorite of these 4 options will be the last one we do, and that's the one I will be keeping on this build once I have it done. The first option will be just to place thatch roofing across the 3 openings, and you'll see here that the clipping on that roofing is minimal, and if that does not bother you at all, then this is a very simple way to go. It will, however, leave a smaller triangle up near the top that is not covered. You can use some angled beams and rotate them a little bit on that snap point to try and cover that up a little bit more. And you'll see on the outside that it doesn't actually look that bad. It even looks a little decorative. All 3 of these other options will require us to place 1 meter wood beams across the entire top of our 1.5 wall to give us new snap points. Option 2 will be fairly simple. We place a 26-degree angled beam straight off the center snap point and place a horizontal beam on either side of it. After that, you will go to each other snap point with a 26-degree beam and slightly angle in, covering up the majority of the gaps, and you can see on the ground not letting in too much snow, and the only time you'll lose that sheltered buff is when you're standing in those snow patches. Option 3 is to wing it. Place beams in these sections in varying patterns until you find something that you like. Cross the beams over each other, change up their directions, and make whatever kind of skylight you would like to make that kind of lets in these god rays and these light beams through the side. It still has the same issues of letting in a little bit more snow than you might like and not giving you sheltered completely under it. And you can see option 2 and option 3 from the outside. I think 3 looks quite a bit better, and you'll see that they don't actually come across that bad no matter what. Option 4, which is the one I will be going with, might be a little bit more complicated and require a little bit more wood, but we are going to place 26-degree beams coming straight off of each seam. Once those are in place, you're going to take 1 meter wide horizontal beams and free place them inside of the logs on one of the center aisles, slightly staircasing up from the edge of your wall, and then placing another one slightly up after that, and so on until you get to the top of that rung. Once that's in place, it will allow you to snap through it to the other sections, and you will just place 4 more, following that grid in each opening. And once you have those in place, you can place a 2 meter wide beam on the center sections, and it will snap in place now. And then you will free place again in that staircase pattern, one above that, and a third and final one touching the roof, kind of giving this strange staircase looking pattern. And then if you would like, for decorative purposes, you can run a 26-degree angled piece off the edges and kind of bring the whole thing together near the top. I like this method almost solely for how it looks on the exterior. I think it flows together well and has a very neat shingle look. And if the gap on the center one bothers you a little bit, you can just attach one more 26-degree beam to it and get it a uniform look. All in all, these 4 corner sections are going to be experimentation and figuring out what you would like more. These 2 beam ones allow in a little bit more light for skylights, but they also allow in a little more snow. The thatch roof panels might not look the best from the outside and look like they clip a little bit, but they probably perform the best. And then the one that I prefer and have designed here is a little bit of a hassle to build and costs more material. It does not completely shelter you the entire time because it's beams, and you can see a little bit of snow getting in like right there. But it does the second best job of sheltering over the thatch roof pieces. Once the roof is done, we're going to design our chimney. We're going to take 1 meter log beams, and you'll see that they snap into the floor across on a bunch of different snap points. What we want to do is get it to sit on top of the floor, and there's a snap point right there. Place it like that, and once you have one in, you can rotate 2 clicks in, just like we did with our walls, and create ourselves an octagonal barrier around this little opening in the floor. Once that's in place, we're going to take 1 meter high beams. We are going to be placing these at 4 of the 8 seams, and you want to make sure the flat part is in. So just pay attention as you place it every 2 seams and make sure it is facing flat on the inside. And then we are going to top those off in the same pattern, connecting them with an octagonal setup of 1 meter beams. Remembering to rotate 2 clicks every time you place a new one of these beams, and that's 2 clicks from coming flat off the other one. So you can see right here, it's a perfect match, and just click 2 times in. And that will end in your octagon. You'll probably have to get yourself a little bit of a scaffold after that, and then you're gonna continue the vertical beams, again making sure it's flat to the inside, and you're gonna continue them up to the roof. Once those are in, you're going to place wood walls, and you will see they snap between the beams because they are technically in a square, so make sure you're snapped in the right spot. And go ahead and place the wood walls all the way around on the 2 upper levels of the chimney. You're going to finish off the interior look by adding beams to the other seam of your 1 meter poles, but not on the bottom section so you can still access the fire, only on the top 2 levels. And then on the top, we will be able to see all of our current beams. We are going to place on the 4 corners of the wall a 1 meter vertical beam. And go ahead and ignore the 4 beams you see coming through on the flat parts of the wall. Once you have those poles in place, there will be 2 options to finish the top of this chimney. I will be using the second option I show you because it will be staying on this bunker permanently. Option number 1 is just like a standard chimney. We are going to place log beams on the sides, place a ridge cap on the top, and cover up the front and the back with the roof crosses, turning our octagonal chimney into a standard square chimney and giving it a classic Viking look. Option number 2 will be to place 1 meter beams just like we did on the floor, and to start our chimney and rotate them all the way around, 2 clicks each time to create ourselves an octagon up here as well. Once that's in place, we're going to take a 26 meter angled beam and come straight off of each seam, which will be 2 clicks each seam you place. This can be difficult to get the placement because beams are in your way, but you will see that you are in the right place because they will be kind of spinning over each other, creating almost a bloom or a flower pattern, giving us a unique top of the chimney that still blocks the snow from coming in and damping out our fire. Once the top chimney is done, you can place your campfire in here, and you'll notice that the chimney operates just fine. Now we are on to fortifying our walls. If you take the stake walls out, you will notice as you aim at your house that they actually can sink in on top of the wood beams inside of the walls, giving both a unique look and reinforcing your base's walls against attack, which can be hugely important and helpful when you're in the mountains. And as I said before, the weakest part of this house will be the gate door since it cannot be covered with stake walls. So I put it around the back near a cliffside, and we're going to go ahead and create a walkway around to the front, hopefully discouraging any mobs from coming around to this side, and instead they will attack the stake walls. On the corner sections here, we are going to attach a 1x1 piece to each corner and have them overlap each other, and then fill in the gap in the center with another 1x1 piece, and that might be a little bit difficult to get in the right spot. Once those are in, we are also going to stake wall the edge of those, which you might find to be a little bit tight of a walkway, and if that is the case, you can feel free to add a 1x1 edge to it to make it a little bit wider. And then if you feel the need, you can add some stakes with some core wood and regular wood in order to deter smaller creatures like wolves from attacking your exterior walls. However, I did run the walls through a test, and the basic wooden wall has about 450 hit points. The stake wall and the wooden wall put together have about 1,500, which equals out to the approximate 1,500 of a 4x2 stone wall. So I think this is about as safe as you're going to get in the mountains, even if you did decide to try and pull stone and iron up into that area. Well guys, there you go. There is a somewhat large fortified wooden bunker up in the mountains to protect yourself from the dangerous creatures. I appreciate you joining me for this installment of Building for Squares. If you're interested in seeing more videos on Valheim, make sure you hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.